Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. Seeing that we got the cabane struts mounted, now we have to go ahead and make the interplane struts. First, I want to wish everybody, hope you all had a good Happy New Year. Myself, mine was so happy, it took me about a day and a half to go ahead and recover from that one. But now I'm back down here in the shop, and let's get back to work on the Fokker D.VII. The interplane struts themselves should be relatively easy. Reading through the instructions, they don't give you a really good idea what you got to do, but it's pretty self-explanatory when you look at the plans. So I've got everything set up on a little work table on the other side, and we do have heaters. If you can hear them going, it's 0 degrees outside right now, so I'm just trying to get things warmed up, because when I walked in over there this morning, it wasn't even 30 degrees. It was 29 degrees on that side of the shop. So yeah, so it's going to warm up for a little bit first, but it's okay because I got time today. Now, because we've got the cabane struts already built and everything was set up, and we know it's pretty darn true right now. So the top wing we know is good. Bottom wing, and I'm got my fingers and toes crossed, because you know how it works in my world. There should not be any issues with that bottom wing. Everything should be properly set up and ready to go. Because the interplane struts themselves, it's just a matter of marking out the holes, getting the holes drilled in the right location, and then according to the plans, makes perfect sense. You're going to try to find the angle on how you're going to have to drill the holes through, and then how we're going to go ahead and pretty much solder the little flat plates. I've got everything out there, so that way when we have everything ready to go, we'll be able to just go ahead, put the 440 screw in, everything will be taken care of. So let me go ahead and get everything switched over to that side, and let's go ahead and get started. Alright, the big problem we are going to have here, and once again, the light is just atrocious, but it is what it is. So let's just work on the bottom just because you can see it. This hard plate, let's just call it hardwood, it's the mounting location for the end struts. The way it's set up here is you've got easy access to the bottom of this one. This bay should have been left open. What they show in the plans is you don't put these things on here until after you get the holes drilled and put the T-nuts on the bottom, then you glue it into place. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to come in and just cut out the shear web. So I'll cut out the shear web there, and then over there, and then down below. So that way I can get everything taken care of, everything properly glued in. And then as soon as it's all done, just go ahead, just glue some new shear web on. It's going to be easy peasy. Not concerned about that at all. Now I know it's going to take me a little bit longer to do it the way I originally said I was going to do it, but I'm going to go ahead, take these wings off, get all of the locations marked for where the holes are going through, and then I'm just going to come on out and I'm going to reinstall everything back on the plane, because the bottom one's not bolted on, it's just the dowels up front, easy. And it's just 4 bolts that go to hold the wing up on the top, so I'm not concerned at all with getting that thing back up, because it's real easy to do. So, and then once I get them up on there, then I'll go ahead and we'll get the angles that they need to be set up at, and then yeah, get the holes drilled. Guys will never guess what I found. I'm hoping you can see it. I don't know if we can focus through, you can see right underneath it. This whole mount right here has a little bit of glue coming out to about here on it, and then it's completely open to this side. So this whole lower mount is once again sitting proud by more than 1/16 of an inch, more than halfway across. So I'm gonna have to come in with my little, have to come on in with this tool again. That one right there, to remove this and then reset it. So I'm going to have to do that, and then we'll re-glue it back down. It's in the right location, so I've already got markers here on the outside, and all I have to do is I'm going to come in with epoxy. Once it's cut up, I'll clean it up, come out with epoxy, and epoxy it down here. And then once this is properly epoxied back in, what I am going to do on this plane, just because I don't trust this initial builder, I'm going to come in with shear web, and I'll probably put shear web all the way up to this side of it too. So I've got 1, 2, 3 more bays of shear web because I still have to cut this off to get inside there. So I want as much strength on these wings as possible with not adding any weight to it. So let me go ahead and get this done. We'll come on back. And here's what I found. Hopefully we'll get a good light on it. You can see this L-shaped part up here. There was a little bit contacted right here. There was nothing in this little area, and we had it good contact on this side. But this side, we only had these couple little pieces right here on this side. So pretty much the way this thing was set in here like this, yeah, we had nothing. We had nothing contacting it. So that was not a very long-lived piece on the plane. The story begins properly several days ago. The footage, lost, gone, have no idea. Could have been the fact that I just did something wrong when I was recording it. For those that watched the video where I was doing the cabane mounts, all the measurements were done. If you noticed, I was measuring from the wing to the tabletop because I was using the tabletop as a level surface. That's how we made sure that everything was going to be lined up properly so that that wing was going to be perpendicular to the fuselage in both aspects. What I never measured was the distance from the top wing to the bottom wing. And when I did that, it was very unfortunate that they were pretty far off. It was a 1/4 inch off from one side to the other. So you're splitting it, still an 1/8 inch up and down, a 1/4 inch. You know, if it was a minuscule amount, if it was, you know, a 1/16th, even an 1/8 of an inch, I would kind of sort of be okay with that. But we were going to have to make the adjustment, and the adjustment is in this video. But of course, because I didn't have this camera set up, turned on properly for audio, we're at least getting audio through this one, through the Canon. So we're okay. It'll be a little muffled, but you guys have had to deal with my shenanigans in the past. So what I had to do was go in, and we're going to have to relocate the bottom wing. And you're only getting to see the tail end of it because the other part where I was explaining it is gone. What I ended up doing was on the one side that I knew had to come up, because you're working with that twist in the fuselage. You knew the one side where it was sitting, it was easier to adjust that side that was twisted down, because the wing had to come up. If it had to go down, I'd have been working with the other side. So what I ended up doing was going in with a little die grinder and just making the hole kind of oblong, just so it was going to give me something to start working with. And the first attachment, when I first put it in there, I realized it was going to be really close. So I went ahead and dug down a little bit more, got a little bit deeper, and it looked like it was going to be good till I got the wings hooked up, and I realized I was going to have to lift it back up again. So what the video is going to start off with was what I did on that was I made a little teeny wedge that was going to go down in alongside of a wooden dowel, a 3/8 dowel. Wrapped the dowel in saran wrap, just regular plastic wrap. Wrapped it up in that, and then I ended up putting the dowel in before I put any kind of epoxy down inside the hole. I wanted to make sure that it was going to be lined up exactly where I wanted it to. And of course, that was off camera as well. So once I knew I had that set up the way I needed to, I went ahead, and this is where the video comes in. I went ahead and wrapped it up in the saran wrap, and then put the epoxy down on the inside of the hole, pushed it down to the hole, put the wedge in, and then filled in around it. So it was flooded all the way around the saran wrap, the plastic wrap. Because I knew that the plastic wrap itself, I could easily remove it. Hoping you can see this okay. What we're trying to do is we're resetting the hole. And the reason why I'm doing it this way, and to keep it simple, stupid, comes into play on these things. If you ever come into a situation where you're trying to go ahead, move the hole and get everything matched in close, but you want to fill in any little zones that you're not going to get a good connection on it. Take a dowel, another 3/8 dowel, and this one I undersized it a little bit under 3/8 for this reason. I wrapped it in saran wrap, just regular saran wrap, and what I will do is go ahead and pull this down. I will show you shortly because it's not ready to go. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and then when I get this uncovered at the top, I can wiggle this back and forth and pull that dowel out, and the saran wrap will stay in there, and that should be very easily just convince it that it needs to release, and it will. And then I can go inside and redress this hole that's in the proper location now. All right, let's go ahead and do it. This has been sitting in here for about 20 minutes. It's 5-minute epoxy. Still a little on the soft side, but this should work just fine. Just wiggle it, and it slides right out. So this is out. This is still down inside here. I'm going to leave this in like it is, let it harden up a little bit more, and then we'll go ahead and we'll pull out the plastic wrap. All right, this has been sitting here for probably about 45 minutes. I hope you can hear that. That's pretty solid. So let's go ahead, and this should come out very easy. And there we go. So I just have to come in. I'm going to cut off. It's just a piece of spruce. I use that because I needed it to push it this way up against this side. And we slide this thing down inside, and we have a nice firm fit. So let me just go ahead and get this all prepped, shave it down, and let's give that wing another shot. All right, you can see it's sitting upside down again. Guess what? Found another problem. And I'll show you where it's at. When I came in and did some more measuring with the struts themselves, because you want to have accuracy on it. One wingtip is almost, believe it or not, almost. Now, since it's all properly mounted to the fuselage, there's no play in it anymore. It's locked in. It's a 1/4 inch farther back on this wing going out that way. So everything measures on what you need to do. You got to figure what you're going to have to do is it's going to be, you're looking to put an 1/8 inch on each wingtip. And how you're going to get that to rotate is just pretty much just to get this side here to come a 1/4 inch farther forward. In theory, there should be a little bit of a rotation, but we're going to work with it. If you want to see exactly where the error is, I'm going to show it to you. You ready? You see that little gap right down there? Right there. It's about 1/8 of an inch. Pull that forward 1/8 of an inch. It's going to rotate this side in, and it's going to rotate that side out. Add those two, 1/8 inch up, there's your 1/4 inch. So the original builder, that's where the error is. It just set this whole thing that far, 1/8 of an inch that far back. So I'm going to come on in, and these may have to be moved, and I don't really want to have to do it, but we're just going to have to keep trying to plod through this one. If I have to move these, I can do it. I don't have an issue with that. But what I'm going to have to do is come in and figure out how much I'm going to take off of this, because it's going to be this backing plate right here, which is something you really don't want to take off. So I got to figure this one out. I can add a little bit to this, but then it's going to put it too far back. And if you truly want to see the twist in the fuselage, you see how that's bowed out? You see how this one's got a nice arc to it? You come on down, and hopefully you can see it. There it is. There's the twist. It's where it all starts. Like I said, it all starts right in here. It was just so I got to figure out how I want to work with this, because I'm going to fix this. As much as I hate to say it, I'm going to get back to work on the fuselage, because this is just, it's compounding itself. So let me go ahead, get the wing straightened out. I really don't want to have to do this, but I have to do it. If it was within 1/8 of an inch, I'd let it go. But because we're at a 1/4 inch, I can't let it go. So I'm going to figure out how I want to work with this piece just to make it right. And I know the real way to make it right is to go ahead and remove this and just move it back and glue it. I just don't want to come in and have to try to bust all those glue joints, because that's pretty much tearing this whole part of the fuselage up. So let me think about this for a little bit. I'll get right back to you. All right, the way I decided I'm going to have to do this, because it's the least amount of, let's just call it damage. Because if I'm going to come in and do this right where the dowels go into it, it's just nice. I can't do it that way. I literally have to go ahead and cut everything apart, which is even that former down inside there. It all have to be cut and then reset. And you can see here too, in this little filler I had to put in here versus the size on this side. Yeah, that's that little gap right down there. That's called bad construction, not on my part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come on in, and I'm doing half the gap. I'm going to come in, I'm going to pretty much sand off, or how I'm going to do it, about a 1/16 of an inch on this side, and it's going to taper down to nothing on this side. And that's going to be the quickest way for us to try to get this thing so it's straight with the least amount of issue, because I do have some of the spar right here. And I think the spar, because the spar itself is made out of balsa, your structure there is coming from the plywood. It's coming from the doubler in the back side of it. So for me to sand this a little bit off, it should not affect anything. And when I say should, it should not affect anything, because your strength is coming from the plywood, and then the spar is going down. But where I'm going to be shaving off here, it should not create a weakness here because the plywood is extended out to here. So in this 1/16 of an inch should not affect anything. So I'm going to go ahead and come on in and just start sanding this down quickly just to get it close. Let's try it again and see if that's at least getting us going in the right direction. All right, they're in. I got the bottom wing with it within 1/8. It's a little bit less than 56 1/4 on one side, and it's a little bit over 56 3/8 on the other side. So we're within 1/8 of an inch. So I'm good with that. That can stay just the way that is, because that 1/8 of an inch from side to side is not going to affect a darn thing. And I'm just tired of fighting that thing. As I still have to fight the fuselage, which you saw just a short time ago. So right now, I'm still going to finish winning this battle with this plane. All right, I guess we're going to go ahead and call this video. We're going to call it episode number 1. Because even though I thought I had that wing properly lined up, I was wrong. And what I think it was, I think that little bit of a 1/4 inch this way and a 1/4 inch this way, it may have been negated where we had that close, because it wasn't perfect, but I think I was within like between 1/8 and a 1/16 of an inch on wingtips. So it was really tight on the bottom wing. And I think what it was because the one side was down and rotated, so it could have been where it was set up with the difference in height and the rotation might have worked out to that advantage where I got false measurements that were close enough to work. Now with the wings being properly set up and at a point where I consider it completely acceptable, the next video will be me finishing up the end struts. So once I get those things soldered together, which you'll watch the process, the only thing I will have left to do after that is go ahead and put the fairings on it. Just so that way it looks just like the real ones and you get proper airflow across them. Now for those of you that watched the video, the little short video of me, just letting you guys know I'm going to head out to go see a friend of mine, Mike Kellner, where he's doing a restoration on the B-17E, the Desert Rat B-17 bomber, because I hadn't been out there in about 2.5 years. Even though I'm in communication with him, I just haven't been out there for 2.5 years. So when I went out there, it's unfortunately, and you'll see it in the video because I'm putting it together, it was just too cold inside and we couldn't get the lighting to work. So at that point, I just hung around in the shop for a while, for about an hour, and talked to him. And we may be putting together a build out there because he's trying to get a bunch of friends together, because he has a little heated area where we can actually build RC planes. Is where he builds his. So I've got a set of plans for a 1/4 scale Bristol Scout D. And it's a masterclass build, so that should be a good build. I'm considering doing that out there. It's about a half hour, 35 minutes from here. So yeah, it's a good little drive, but that's how long it takes me to get up to the flying field when I go up there and fly. And a lot of times, if I can, I'll fly up there twice a week, if not at least once a week. But at the end of my time up there, a good friend of his, Steve, who is also a crop duster, he's an ag pilot, flew over in his Piper Cub. And his Cub is not, I don't know if it's I think it's a Super Cub, might be a PA-18. I have to find out which one it is. But anyway, it's in war scheme pattern. He actually has the invasion stripes on the bottom of it. It's a really good looking Cub. and he flew that thing around. So I was out there filming it, and it was really cold. I had to do a little bit of work with the sound and the video of it. About 2.5 minutes, and I waited until I got the pilot's approval before I went any farther with the video, and we got the approval. So I'll be putting a video out for that. Of course, not this Saturday, because that'll be this video. It'll be the following Saturday. So let's just go ahead, once again, call this a video, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm back down the shot.